Good morning. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show, Red Pill Edition. My name is Leon Jones, and I'm going to get right to the topic. What I'm going to talk about today is masculine energy versus feminine energy. Now, some of you may get this video, some of you may not. If you don't get it, listen to it 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 times. I don't care. But a lot of us, when it comes to dealing with masculine and feminine energy, we just don't know what it is. So I'm going to break it down into a real perspective. As a man, and of course as a woman, you got to look at masculine and feminine energy as if you were looking at a magnet. Magnets have north and south poles. And if you've done any science project, you would find that opposites attract. Now, it's funny to say, when I talk about homosexuality, I'm not talking about the sex itself. I'm talking about the energy. Because when I see gays and lesbians, I usually see one of the gay or one of the lesbian partners is feminine and one is masculine. And the reason why that happens is because people with the same traits don't attract, they repel. This is where you get homo versus hetero. Now, when it comes to dealing with women, a number of us who are masculine men have a hard time dealing with certain type of woman out here, particularly one who is a feminist, the one who says, I'm strong and independent, I don't need no man. Well, what that woman is bringing to you is a masculine energy. And when two masculine people go at one another, you got two egos. This is why two masculine people want to kill one another. And then when you got two feminine people coming at one another, this is where you get a lot of the Machiavellianism, the manipulation. This is why when it comes to homo, which means the same, people who are homo don't attract. Now, once again, listen to me closely. I'm not talking about homosexuals. I'm talking about masculinity versus femininity. And when it comes to having relationships, if two people are presenting the same energy, regardless if your relationship is a homosexual relationship or a heterosexual relationship, it's doomed to fail. Because both of you have masculine traits. Masculinity, again, produces a lot of egotism, competition. Who's got the biggest balls? And as a man, femininity is not about your body. Let's get that straight right now. Femininity is about the energy, the humbleness. Whereas masculinity is about the toughness, the power, the dominance. So two people with dominant traits can't be dominant. It's always going to be conflict. And if you don't believe me, you look at some of these gay and lesbian relationships. The reason why lesbian relationships have a higher domestic violence rate is because you got two women with masculine energy, or you got two women with feminine energy. And in each state, you got both parties who want to be large and in charge. Well, it won't work because somebody has got to be the subordinate and somebody has got to be the leader. And that would be the same way when it comes to some of these gay relationships. And if you don't believe me, there was a show, and I don't watch it, called Modern Family. It had Ed O'Neill, who played the older man who was married to the Spanish younger woman. It had the female who didn't work, but she was college educated. She was dominant. They had two big mouth daughters and a passive son, and then you had the gay guys. And if you look at the gay guys, one of them was masculine and the other was feminine. And if you look at the relationship with the dominant woman, the reason why that didn't work is because the man was feminine and the woman was dominant. Now, let me get to the hetero part. The only time where a relationship with two people who are heterosexuals doesn't work is when a woman is dominant and a man is submissive. Yeah, a woman's going to tolerate that man, but that relationship is not going to last unless she wants to be in control, because you have a number of women out here who want submissive men so they can control the relationship. But in reality, when it comes to masculinity, two masculine people are not going to work because you're both trying to control the relationship. You have some that try to control the conversation. Have you ever been on the telephone? You're a man, you're talking to a woman, and the woman is just constantly yapping. You can't get a word in. Or if you're having a conversation about a topic that you feel passionate about and she feels passionate about, she tends to overtalk you because she wants to exert her masculine energy so she can control the conversation. This is what they do. Men do the same thing. Now, when you have somebody as a man, you got to be dominant. And domination does not mean slavery. Let's get that through our heads. A dominant man is a masculine man. And when we talk about toxic masculinity, you have to equate that with toxic feminism. Because the feminists, the radical feminists, have made masculinity toxic, because these feminists are trying to be the man. And if you don't believe me, look at the appearance of some of these feminists. They've cut their hair off, they're loud, they're not feminine. Some of them think they can actually take on a man and be the man. Now, of course, some of them can be the submissive man. And when they choose a man, they choose a man not of equal quality, but beneath her, so she can control that man. Because she believes she wears the pants. And when you have two people who are dominant in culture, whether homosexual or heterosexual, you're always going to have conflict. The relationship is doomed to fail. So as a man, we're attracted to humbleness, femininity, because it's peaceful. Femininity and masculinity are like the north and south poles of a magnet. Now, many of us aren't going to get this concept because we're stuck on homo and hetero. But again, when I'm talking about homosexuality, that's the sex act that two people of the same sex are engaged in, whereas heterosexuality, two people from the opposite sex. I'm not dealing with sexuality. I'm dealing with a trait. And again, when you utilize the magnetic theory, homo traits repel. They don't attract. That's why they never work. I know a lot of us get up here on YouTube and let's look at it. You look at the manosphere. Now, I wasn't part of the black manosphere, although I'm African American. The reason why those men could not talk to one another, because they all had egos. They wanted to get their point across. They wanted to prove how powerful they are. They wanted to compete. You see, when you have a person who's masculine and a person who is feminine, the person who's feminine or masculine, when one person is talking, the other person should be listening. You share ideas. And it even got worse in the black manosphere when they allowed women on their show. And I told a couple of YouTubers, I would not come on your hangouts if you got women on your show. Because what happened, and it happened on a brother, I'm not gonna put his name out there, he's a cool brother. The topic got watered down because now the men are going at each other with their masculine energy, trying to overpower each other to satisfy this woman. Now you look at it. When it comes to two people who are titans, they're always going to clash. But when it comes to two people who aren't titans, who are ultra feminine, they're going to be sneaky. See, they don't have the brute strength of someone masculine, but they got the Machiavellianism. So they know how to utilize deception. And this is why you get a feminine woman who can be innocent, but very devious inside. She can defeat a masculine man as well, because this is where masculine and feminine can go wrong as well, is when one is trying to deceive the other. And usually it's the woman who's trying to deceive the man, while the man is trying to utilize his brute strength. This is where masculinity and femininity don't work. Again, I'm giving you the exception to the rule. But generally, when it comes to attraction, just because that woman appears to have everything about her, and I'm talking about her physique that's womanly with the curves, it doesn't mean she's feminine. This is why I tell a man, don't always look at the outside. Hear what comes out of her mouth. And if she mentions anything that's worthwhile of feminism, Don't date that woman. Because she's bringing you a masculine energy. And if you're masculine, the relationship is not going to work. This is why there's so many conflicts in relationships, because you have a number of women who basically have been taught how to be masculine instead of feminine. And they've been taught that femininity is weak, and that when you are feminine as a woman, that man is oppressing you. This is why we got what we have today. And then we're taught also as a man not to be masculine, to show our feelings. This is why it doesn't work the other way, where you have a dominating woman and a feminine man. But you have a number of feminists who want to be dominating because they want to be the man. They don't like men, but a number of these radical feminists have penis envy because they emulate men. You can see it in the workplace. You can see it in sports. Where we beat our chest, get some of these women who are doing the same thing. Now, when it comes to feminine people, they're always going to use Machiavellian tactics, and the tactics are deception. And this is why women are very calculating. See, they don't have the brute strength. Now, when it comes to a masculine woman and a feminine woman, they both have one thing in common. They got the law to protect them. Because going back to a masculine woman, you want to whoop her ass when she gets up in your face. But that masculine woman knows if you as a man put your hands on her, you'll be hauled off to jail. She hides under the law. And see, that masculine woman, she'll come at you masculine, but you'll become a victim at the same time. We as men have allowed that. So when I'm dealing with the subject of homo, I'm not talking about homosexuals. I'm talking about two people with the same energy. This is why opposites attract. And if you're a woman out here, you can look for a guy who's dominant, but don't look for a guy who's controlling. Because that guy is going to try to enslave you. There could be too much of everything. But see, masculinity and femininity create a balance. This is why those two energies exist. When you got the homo side, two feminine people, or two masculine people, it's too much to bear. It's always going to be conflict. And I'm just giving you a man's point of view, because as a man, I am not attracted to masculinity. And it's not that another masculine man, or I'm not going to say man, it's not that masculinity is threatening. No, it's just unattractive. Because basically you're putting a mirror of me, but that energy is coming from you. Because you want to try to be like me. Although you hate me. I'm talking about the radical feminists. And you have some of these guys out here. A feminine woman is not going to be attracted to a feminine man. That's never going to work either. Because you're going to have two people who are opposite sex, but that man is going to be like one of your girlfriends. And that's not attractive to a number of women. Again, you got to get away from shows like Sex and the City, all the gossip shows. You got to get off the propaganda that Hollywood is presenting. Because in the real world, homo energy does not work. two masculine people are not going to get along, and two feminine people aren't going to get along. Now, when it comes to a relationship, man and woman, men are attracted to femininity. Now, the opposite is not necessarily true unless she wants to control the relationship. A dominant woman and a submissive man, that's not going to work either. Now, the dominant woman is going to get what she wants from that submissive man, but in the back of her mind, she's going to go try to find that man so she can become a cooperative woman, so she doesn't have to be in control of the relationship. That'll happen as well. I'm not going to say that's going to happen all the time, but it does happen. Again, a woman who is dominant because she's a woman, she can also go back to utilizing those Machiavellian and deception tricks too. This is a complicated subject to really talk about here on YouTube. Not that women are complicated, but women know how to be calculated. But I'm going to keep this video at feminine and masculine energy. For the most part, women who are feminine are attracted to men who are masculine. Men who are masculine are attracted to feminine women or feminine women. Now, if you look at Western society, when you hear them tell it, masculinity is toxic and feminine women are weak. Again, this is what you got today. This is why a number of men and women can't get along. Now, as I'm telling you, I don't hate women. Now, I'm going to do a video on incels because a number of people don't know what an incel is. But if you look at the incel and the radical feminist, they're one and the same. You got two people with negative energy toward the opposite sex, that's never going to work either. But if you utilize the theory of the magnet, the North Pole and the South Pole are opposite, they always attract. Two North Poles and two South Poles don't attract. And when you have two people that have the same type of energy coming at one another, it's always going to be a disaster. And this is why you got to be careful on who you wife up a husband up. This is why you have instability in relationships. This is why you got to look at the backgrounds of people. Going back to the manosphere. A lot of these brothers go back and forth with beefing, and they don't even know each other. They've never met each other for the most part, except social media. But you got a bunch of angry titans coming at one another. But they're doing the James Brown and talking loud, but they ain't saying nothing. They're emotional. This is why you can't have that conversation with a number of black men about building, because they're not in the building, they're in the drama. And that masculine energy is not about community. That energy that they're utilizing is destructive, it's not constructive. And again, if you look at the black manosphere, their only interest when they come up here on YouTube is making money. And see, when you get money involved with everything, it waters down the product. See, I have a small channel. I'm not worried about making money. I have a job. I'm a civil engineer. In fact, I have a backup channel called The Mind of STEM, which I talk about civil engineer careers. Got one video posted. I'm going to be putting more videos on that channel. And today on Blog Talk Radio, I'm going to talk about the 48 laws of power. But that's beside the point. When it comes to energy, homo energy is not attractive. Again, I didn't say homosexual. I said homo. Homo means the same. When you have the opposites attract, when we deal with energy, for the most part, if it's the dominant male and a cooperative female who's feminine and humble, that relationship for the most part works. Now, again, I'm giving you for the most part because there are exceptions to the rule where a female can use her femininity and her innocence to be very deceptive as well. I know that as well. Now, for the other side, you can have the dominant female and the so-called cooperative male, the female with the masculinity and the male with the femininity. Well, that's not going to work. Why? Because a man is supposed to be masculine, not feminine. Now, talk to the feminists, they want role reversal because they believe role reversal is equality. Role reversal is not equality. Women are not supposed to be in the driver's seat. Men are supposed to be the builders. Men are supposed to be the teachers. But you have a number of men that aren't interested in that. They want the woman to do all the work. And I do understand why some of the brothers are in the position they are in. Because for the most part, these brothers weren't groomed to build. And they're brothers in my age group. Because I see it on these hangouts. They don't know how to talk to one another. But again, they really put that masculine energy to each other by trying to impress that woman by allowing women on their platforms. And the manosphere was supposed to be about men. A male space. You got too many females that want to come into male spaces. And what do? They water down the product. It's no longer quality. But going back to what I'm saying, when it comes to energy, as a man, we are, for the most part, attracted to feminine energy. And when it comes to a relationship, you have to understand, as a masculine man, you got to know how to treat that woman. You don't slave her. You don't control her. If it's your woman, there's nothing wrong with taking care of your woman. See, the real simp is looking for validation from a woman that's not his. And even if you're dating that woman, it's just your turn right now. But as a male and female, if you look at these gay couples out here, you always have one who's masculine and the other who's feminine. They emulate a heterosexual couple. Because even the gays and even the lesbians know that two people who have homo energy doesn't work. It's always going to be conflict. Of course, you have propaganda out here that doesn't cure anything either. But at the end of the day, if you understand this video, this is not about homosexuality. This is about homo energy. Homo means the same. It's a Greek prefix for the same. Just as hetero is a Greek prefix for different. In society, we have a balance. That's what works. But if you look at relationships between men and women, the feminists want women to be just like men. And they want men to be just like women. They want role reversal. But when you look at reality, ladies want masculine men. Men want feminine women. I don't care how many feminists preach that propaganda about masculinity being toxic, but the feminists will never correct biological nature. Why? Because it works. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Soul Radio Show right here on YouTube. If you like what I just presented, please comment, share, and subscribe. I'll be coming up with another video talking about the incels as well. It's not going to be as long, but a number of men don't know what an incel really is. We use the topic, but we use the name out of context because everybody who doesn't get a woman is not an incel. I'll do a video on that. Again, I'm going to talk about the 48 Laws of Power on my Blog Talk Radio show here Saturday, August 10, 2019. But again, please like my videos. Giving you interesting content. I'm not asking for Patreons. And one thing that I'm not going to do, I don't believe in beefing. I believe in traveling solo. I'm a red pill man. Now, red pill is not just about the spiritual part. It's about understanding the real world, accepting the truth about relationships, government, religion, media, education, and private sector jobs. Some people, it's very difficult to transition from blue pill to red pill. Not going to do it overnight. You got to have knowledge. But you remember something. Knowledge is power. And again, understand that opposites attract when it comes to masculine energy and feminine energy. And two of the same energies only repel. This is why relationships do not work. Because you have two people that are always clashing because they have the same type of energy. Now again, that's it for this video. Like what you just heard, comment, share, and subscribe. I want you all to have a wonderful and blessed day. Once again, my name is Leon Jones. I'm out.